August 12th Bitcoin chart. And as we see, or as I'm going to explain to you during today's video, institutions, which as you know, are the ones who move the market at their whim, not just Bitcoin, but any market, are driven by greed or the desire to make money. And what they do is take money from retail investors. Very well. Institutions always take advantage of movements that are outside of their strategy. There are important movements. For example, when the New York Stock Exchange opens, or the Asian markets, where we suddenly see significant volume coming in and the chart moves aggressively. Normally, institutions have their strategy prepared, and when this movement, which they cannot foresee, goes in favor of their strategy, they simply join in and let it continue, as we have seen here twice. If we explore the historical chart, we will see it many more times. But, well, let's focus on these days that are very recent and that we have seen and have been analyzing if you have seen my videos these days. Very well. What they do is take advantage of those movements. When they go in their favor, they let it ride and create a consolidation when it arrives or when that force disappears. On the other hand, when it goes against their strategy, what they do is simply let the market, since it is efficient, return again to the position where that inflow of funds started, and then they do continue with their strategy. In other words, if things go well for them, they take advantage of it. If things don't go well, they try to correct it. They do it over and over again. What we do for the price forecast of Bitcoin, in this case, is study the chart with those clues. Because institutions, the strong hands, have time, they have money, but they are so big that it is very difficult to hide that large amount of money on any chart. That's why we look at volume, not any other indicator, because you already know that indicators are easily manipulated. By putting more volume in one place and less in another, they are manipulated by the strong hands quite easily. They make retail investors enter against what they should be doing, and the strong hands win while retail loses. So we see those clues. Without further ado, let's get right into the chart. I also wanted to mention that at the end of the video, we're going to continue with the August challenge. It's been paused for a few days because it went over 64,000. I told you the price would drop back below 64,000, and once it did, the TP was triggered. We just had to wait, and now we're continuing with the challenge. I'm going to show you the entry I made in the TP they sent me yesterday. Without further ado, let's analyze the chart. We had support and resistance set at 60,000 and 68,000. 4-hour chart, as I told you, the middle of the channel is super important, 64,000. Yesterday, we did mark a sort of pseudo channel. If what you're interested in is making money from trading, whether professionally or as a second job, I've designed a course where you'll stop looking at indicators and you'll understand what the market is really doing, what the smart money is really doing, and you'll be able to make money the way they do. Let's continue with the analysis. Even though it's not the channel per se, in the long term, it's marking that Wyckoff accumulation, which in my course, I explain accumulation, distribution, all the Wyckoff phases, VSA, which is when to enter based on how the chart looks, the best possibilities. I explain everything to you, and I've left a link with a discount. But let's analyze it in this video. The pseudo channel I'm telling you about, we use pseudo channels when the price starts to enter within the channel, but what it does is for a while, for example, here 2 weeks, it starts to move sideways in a shorter way. Then we are indeed waiting for that breakout to the upside or downside. But to make more suitable short-term entries, whether weekly, intraday, or scalping, what we always do is define the boundaries. We try to fit a smaller time frame into an increasingly larger time frame. That is to say, we start on the 4-hour chart for our general overview to get an idea of what the price might do. We see how it fits into the long term, and then we do see in scalping, intraday, or even swing trading how to fit those movements in. Very well. We are also seeing that accumulation in the pseudo channel. The pseudo channel is formed by the support at 62,300 and the resistance at 65,600. These two elements are going to help us make, together with, of course, the 64,000, they're going to help us make more precise entries. Yesterday, I told you that we saw in the video from the day before yesterday that it was in the 65,000 zone. I told you it was going to reach the 64,000 zone, and that is exactly what we have seen. Then I told you it was going to break that 64,000 zone and that it was going to play in this pseudo channel in the lower part. That is between 62,300 and 64,000. We are seeing it. It is doing a retest now. It is now 11:30 in the morning on August 12th. And we are seeing a classic retest when it breaks a very important zone. I mean, we thought the retest was going to stay a bit lower, but it's clearly reaching the 64,000 zone. It does this retest, and then we'll see it again during these 7-10 days, which is the forecast for this video. We'll see it again in the zone between the lower zone of the pseudo channel. That's what we can expect for 7 to 10 days, to see it between 62,000 and 64,000. Of course, we're waiting for that break of 62,000 to go to the 60,000 zone, which is indeed the expected move from the accumulation zone. As you can see, it was marked between 60,000 and close to 68,000. It hasn't reached 68,000 either of the two times, but that's more or less the zone. Very well. Now, what we can expect, as I told you at the beginning of the video, the New York Stock Exchange opens at 3:30, and the strong hands are going to take advantage if the funds take a significant position in Bitcoin, the strong hands are going to take advantage of that surge. In the event that the funds, because I'm telling you, the strong hands can't foresee that move, go long, that is, start buying, what they'll do is return in the coming days to leave the price in this zone. In the event that the funds start selling, that is, they go short and we see red candles, what the strong hands will do is simply take advantage of that movement, as they have done the previous 2 days, and carry out an accumulation phase more or less around this zone. That is what we can expect starting today, the 12th. Stay alert at 3:30 key time, 3:30 Spanish time, and let's see how it evolves. What I also wanted to tell you is the ways, as I tell you in my VSA course, which is volume spread analysis, which is the most important thing to keep in mind to make those entries, because the strong hands manifest their presence with volume. Okay, we set the simple volume to 4 hours, and we have seen in this case, it's not that the strong hands have appeared and made a move, because if we look at this volume entry, it coincides with a large candle spread. In other words, it coincides with the strong capital inflow from the funds I was referring to earlier in the video, not from the strong hands. These spikes are indeed from the strong hands, and what we are seeing now is that there is no presence of strong hands, but rather they're simply taking advantage of those movements. To do VSA and to enter properly for scalping or intraday, you know we have to lower the time frame. 30 or 15 minutes is ideal. What we have to look for is a volume spike, for example, like the one we are seeing now. We are on the 30-minute chart, and we're seeing the 3 elements that practically coincide. Volume is starting to come in. Let's see how this candle evolves. We are starting to see a rejection candle. That is a wick on the upper part and the arrival at 64,000. Of the 3 elements that I always mention to you in VSA, there are 2 that are clear, which are the wick and the arrival at 64,000. And there is one that may start to become clear, which is the volume entry. Let's wait, because when I am recording this video, that strong volume entry still hasn't appeared. In the event that it comes in and we continue to see this arrival at 64,000 and that wick of rejection, it will be a very good moment to enter short, at least until this low that we saw at 63,200 that we saw yesterday. If you like this way of trading on the chart, in the short term that is, scalping or intraday, there is a VIP Telegram group where I post 2 entries every day. The group is for 100 people, 100 spots that are already filled. And there is a way to join the group, to be one of these 100. And if you want, contact me through Telegram. I'll leave my Telegram in the description of this video, and I'll explain how. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the August challenge. The August challenge, I started on August 1st by putting $500 into an MXC account. I make micro entries every day to grab just $1, $15, $20, $20. Then if the account is bigger, then $30. I'll show you the entry I made a few days ago. The price has been stagnant because of what I told you at the beginning of the video, that I was expecting it below 64, and it took a little longer than expected to get there, but it arrived. I'll also show you the TP. And what I do is, so you can see that without much complication, with patience, you can just grow the account with $500. In July, that $500 account grew to $1,092. That is to say, I made $592, which I raffled off among the people who signed up on Mexi.com and made their first deposit. This month, I'm going to do the same with the August profits. I'm Michael Vasquez. This is Daily Bitcoin Analysis. I really appreciate you watching this video, and as I always tell you, this is not financial advice, but rather I'm sharing my experience with you after more than 15 years in professional trading. See you tomorrow.